Hello, 2024 has been full of changes in Canadian immigration. Let's discuss top changes today. A small introduction. My name is Rahmat Sobirov. I'm the managing lawyer of a boutique business immigration law firm called Sobirov's Law Firm based in Toronto. We are specializing in business immigration and corporate immigration. We help foreign entrepreneurs, investors, and business owners to relocate to Canada through business immigration. We help also Canadian businesses to find new owners as they realize their succession planning. We are proud to be recognized by the Legal 500 as one of the leading business immigration law firms in Canada in 2023, 24, and 25. We are also recognized by Chambers and Partners as a leading business immigration law firm of the country. So let's start with study and work permits changes. Intake cap on study permits, capped at approximately 360,000 new study permits for 2024, and there was an introduction of provincial attestation letters introduced in addition to admission letters for international students. New off-campus work hour rules. Previously, during the pandemic, the international students were allowed to work more. Now, temporary policy for 20 plus hours per week has ended, and now the policy has set at 24-hour limit introduced in this fall of 2024. So international students can work off campus at a rate of 24 hours per week. International Students Program integrity. There has been a lot of discussion about the integrity of the program, and designated learning institutions, DLIs, must now ensure compliance, otherwise there will be penalties, including public suspension of DLI status. DLI status is a value for Canadian colleges and universities. They try to obtain it and maintain it with the help of complying to these new integrity rules. Also, Francophone Minority Community Student Pilot Program has been launched, easier access for French-speaking students outside of Quebec with settlement support and PR pathways. So overall, one of the themes of 2024 has been Francophone migration to places outside of Quebec. Spousal work permits were also regulated in 2024. Eligibility is now limited to certain high-demand occupations and specific advanced education programs, such as master's degrees or PhDs. Language test requirements for post-graduation work permit applicants. Previously, as long as you could graduate from a Canadian college, designated Canadian college or university, you could get your post-graduation work permit. Now, there's a language test requirement to ensure that you are a good speaker of French or English languages, CLB 7 for university graduates, and CLB 5 for college graduates are now effectively required from November 2024. Now let's talk about temporary public policies and LMIA regulations. We saw the end of visitor to work permit policy in 2024. I would say early termination of that policy. That policy was supposed to be active until the end of February 2025, but the government decided to cancel that policy, to stop it in August 2024. That's an early termination of the policy. So visitors must apply for work permit now. Even if you are inside Canada, you should apply to outside of Canada, and the embassies outside of Canada will be handling your work permit applications. And you have to be compliant with your visitor visa status within Canada. So also regarding the LMIAs, low-wage LMIA changes have happened. Restrictions in high unemployment rates. At the moment, as we speak, the unemployment rate in Canada is about 6.8%, which is increasing, unfortunately. And there was a cap introduced to almost all sectors, to 10% of foreign workers to be, 10% of your workforce can be foreign workers. But there were, of course, exceptions to construction sector, to healthcare, and there were some exceptions. So general rule is now that it's been reduced to 10%. Also, the LMIA validity has been capped to 1 year. Before it was more than 1 year, now it has been capped. It's all in an effort to allow and push Canadian employers to hire from Canadian population, not from foreigners. Also, there were some changes to high-wage LMIA. New wage thresholds were introduced, and lawyers' attestations are no longer accepted for employer legitimacy. So previously, accountants and lawyers would attest to the fact that the business is legitimate and so on. That would be accepted by Immigration Canada, not anymore. So you need to have other evidences of the employer's legitimacy. End of automatic 10-year visitor visa. This is one of the recent changes, and I believe it is in an effort to decrease the number of temporary residents in Canada. Previously, if you remember, if you were given a visitor visa to Canada, your visitor visa would be multi-year, multi-entry, either that expires at the expiration of your passport, or it would be automatically given for 10 years. And the policy was that the visa officer would be encouraged to give 10-year multi-year, multi-entry visas, visitor visas. Not anymore. Nowadays, with the new changes, the government gave a discretion to visa officers to determine, based on the purpose of your visit, the financial stability and ties to your home country and previous applications and so on, to determine, based on the application package, whether you need a single entry or multiple entry, whether you need multi-year or for a few months and so on. They can still issue 10-year multi-entry, multiple visas. However, the now discretion is, it's not automatic, okay? So except the fact that in the future, you may have a short-term visas issued for visiting Canada. Now, let's talk about immigration pathways and trade agreements. There were some changes in this area too. Modernized Canada-Ukraine Free Trade Agreement has been adopted, and now it's ratified. Includes now, it covers business travel provisions for Ukrainian professionals. Hopefully, the war in Ukraine will end, and there will be more trade relationships between Canada and the rest of the world with Ukrainian businesses and a Ukrainian population. Also, in terms of free trade agreements, we are now on the pathway to have a free trade agreement with Indonesia. In 2025, we will have that free trade agreement, but in 2024, Justin Trudeau, Prime Minister of Canada, met with Indonesian counterparts, and they agreed that they will have a free trade agreement, which is upcoming. Also, in terms of immigration pathways, Manitoba PNP open work permits were introduced for those who are, it's a temporary policy for those candidates in the Manitoba PNP pool to apply for a 2-year open work permit. That's a good change. Finally, there were 2 new pilots introduced in terms of immigration pathways. One is Rural Community Immigration Pilot, which will accept 5,000 applicants this year, and another one, Francophone Community Immigration Pilot, which will again accept 5,000 new applicants for this year. These are new pathways for rural and Francophone communities. As I said before, one of the themes of 2024 and perhaps 2025 and beyond is Francophone immigration. Special measures were introduced. One is the special visa, temporary visa extension for Ukrainians who have arrived in Canada. Kuwait extension, Ukrainians in Canada that came before March 2024 can extend their permits by 3 years now. So there approximately 300,000 Ukrainian citizens arrived through this special measure, and now they can extend their stay in Canada. Temporary measures for Lebanese nationals were introduced. As you know, the conflict in Middle East is going on, and free work permits and study permits for eligible Lebanese citizens that were impacted by the conflict and they are now in Canada, they can apply for these permits through special measures. Permanent residence programs were modified, changed, and so on. Quebec Investor Program was reopened back in January 2024. It's a second iteration of the previous program, which was paused, that focuses on high net worth individuals, investors, and now includes French language requirements. So if you speak French and you are a high net worth individual, this is the only passive investment program in Canada at the moment, Quebec Investor Program. And now you're welcome to apply and we can help you with that too. New home care worker pilot programs were introduced that simplify PR pathways for caregivers. New flexible care options were introduced. This is in an effort to get enough home care workers into the system and into Canada because, as you know, we have aging populations with needs in home care. Agri-food pilot program was extended to May 2025 with expanded eligibility for vulnerable workers and job offer flexibility. So all of these changes, by the way, we will link the necessary source of those changes underneath this video. Make sure you see the description section, and also we will leave some comments in the comment section. Federal court updates, these are more I would say legalistic, more related to the procedures and courts. Study permit pilot project that streamlines adjudication of applications, reducing processing time from 14 to 18 months to 5 months. So study permits took longer time because of the changes, because of the new adjustments to the new policies, and now the streamlined adjudication of these projects, these cases before the federal court is now decreased because there are a lot of judicial review cases before the court now. AI in court proceedings. It is now mandatory to disclose the use of AI in legal documents that are filed with federal courts. So as you know, ChatGPT is everywhere now in legal proceedings, in legal documents. If you are using AI in your legal documents that you submit to federal court, you must disclose that clearly. Federal court rules global review will happen. Happened in 2024. Updates include electronic filing. This is the new reality. Expanded roles of associate judges and procedural changes. So all of these are more procedural, and your lawyers should be concerned about and should know about these changes. Other changes that are top changes but not mentioned in much detail. Prevailing wages were updated. The minimum, the annual increase across all occupations, there was an update. And now the LMIAs and all other job offers will be affected. Updated wages must be met for work permit and PR applications. Mexican visa requirement reinstated. As you know, previously Mexican citizens could travel to Canada by obtaining electronic travel authorizations, ETAs. Not anymore. Now they need to have a visa. Effective from March 2024, Mexicans require a TRV, temporary resident visa, commonly known as tourist visas or visitor visas, unless eligible for an ETA, which means that you previously had visas before. So this is in an effort to control the flow from Mexico, because almost 25,000 Mexican citizens claimed refugee status in Canada. They applied for an asylum. This is an increasing number, and it happened, a majority of them happened in the port of entry, like airports or borders. Immigration level plans. These are major updates, and I would say major turn in Canadian immigration. For 2025 to 2027, the targets were reduced by almost 100,000 each year. It's about 20%. So previously we had 485,000 for 2025. Now it's at 395,000, and respectively going down in 26 and 27. Federal program delivery updates, new definitions and wage requirements for ICT work permits. Please check out our special video about ICT changes and other business immigration changes that happened in Canada. So now there's a definition of multinational corporation, and there are some limitations for which you need to be, you need to update yourself if you are trying to do intra-company transfer. Hong Kong PR application policy changes, allowing eligible applicants to apply for open work permit if they are waiting for decisions of their PR applications. So it allows them to work anywhere with that permit. Now, considerations going forward. We have seen turbulent time during the pandemic, and now in the course of 2024, there were almost weekly updates, weekly changes in Canadian immigration. It hasn't been boring, but sometimes it has been very disappointing, disorienting in a way, both applicants and their representatives, immigration lawyers. Now, looking forward, do we see more stability? Unfortunately, no. A new president, second version of the same president, President Trump, is coming in January as a new president of the United States. The immigration reforms are the priority for him and his administration that he can do, and that would affect Canada. Everybody is expecting a flow of people coming into our borders with the United States and crossing them illegally, perhaps. And usually that flow intensifies in spring and summer seasons. We'll see, and everybody is talking across the border on both sides that this will be the issue number one when it comes to immigration, the border crossings. Possible early elections in Canada. Many opposition parties in Canada are trying to push early elections, and it has been tried. There were many trials, but it's not successful yet. But there's a possibility. Our elections are planned for October 2025, but it can happen sooner, and the immigration may change again. We may have another session about the changes. And now, in fact, looking at what's going on with the PR applications and express entry draws and so on, now effectively two-step PR process has been implemented almost across the board. It is now very hard for you to make the first step your permanent residence step, okay? There are two-step processes. Come to Canada as a business owner first, or as an international student or worker, whatever status you have. Come to Canada as a business owner first, contribute to this country, and then move forward with PR applications. So when my clients ask me a question, how can I get PR in Canada? I always talk about two steps, okay? One is a temporary step, and perhaps if you're eligible and you're willing and interested, then the second step could be a PR step. Retirement wave is coming. That's something to watch for, especially when it comes to business immigration. 9 million people will retire in 2025. Among them are business owners who have been investing in their business, growing those businesses, and now they want to exit. How can they exit? Is there succession planning or so? They will transfer value equivalent to $1 trillion to the next generation. How that transfer will occur, what would happen, what are the effects of such transfer to the new generation. So 9 million people are retiring, and we have to be ready for that. If you're confused with Canadian immigration, don't despair. Everybody is confused, but you need clear guidance. Let us discuss your situation, your goals and aspirations, and contact us today through social media or through this email address, and we will try to do our best to explain what are the steps to achieve your immigration and business goals. Thank you very much for your attention. Happy holidays, and see you next year.